Hey y'all, today we're making pineapple upside down cake. So go ahead and preheat your oven to 350. Now we're gonna make this using a box of cake mix. Y'all can see my little helper is back in the kitchen with me today. So I wanted to make things as, easy as possible. That way she could really help. So we start out by putting our cake mix in the bowl, and you can use whatever kind of cake mix you want. I just grabbed this, I think, butter recipe, yellow cake mix. I've seen people do this with pineapple cake mix, but I feel like that might be a little too much pineapple. So we just decided we would stick with just just a box of yellow cake mix. So you're gonna need to just follow the directions on the box. Okay, so whatever your box of cake mix says, mine called for 1/3 of a cup of butter, 3 eggs, and a cup of water. Now, the only thing that we're gonna change is where our recipe, or where the box calls for water, we're gonna use pineapple juice instead. So you're going to want to go ahead, and you don't have to sit your butter out or anything like that because we need it melted. So it doesn't need to be like room temperature. It actually needs to be melted. So you can take it right out of the refrigerator and put it in there just like that. So we're just going to get that melted up, and then we're going to move on to our pineapples, because we're going to need just a regular size can of the sliced pineapples for this. So you're going to want to go ahead and open those up. And like I said, we need the pineapple juice for the cake. So I just went ahead and dumped this into a bowl, because you also don't want your pineapples to be like super wet when you put them in here, because then your cake is going to get too wet, if that makes any sense. And you don't want it to be too liquidy in the bottom of your pan when you're making it. So just dump it over into a bowl, and then we just went ahead and got a little paper plate with some paper towels, and we just put all of our pineapples over there, and that way they can drain while we get the rest of our stuff done. And y'all, I bought little miss here an apron, because I wear an apron in the kitchen, and she wanted an apron, so I bought her one on Amazon, and it came with a little chef hat, and she insisted on wearing her little chef hat today. It was the cutest thing, y'all. But anyway, go ahead, put your pineapple juice over in your cup. And this can we ended up having a full cup of pineapple juice, so it was perfect. So then you're going to get your eggs cracked up. And honey, she was hot that I helped her crack that first egg, so I had to just let her do it. I had to let her do it, y'all. But she did a good job. So anyway, we're just going to go ahead and get these little eggs cracked up. And I found, a couple of weeks ago, these little tiny pans at Ross when I was in there. And don't worry, we're going to get rid of that towel in a minute. We ain't going to keep the egg towel. But she just, had to get the egg off her hand. But anyway, I found these little tiny pans at Ross, and they were perfect for her. And it came with a little tiny rolling pin, y'all. And I hope I can find a recipe we need a rolling pin for, so she can use her little pink rolling pin, because she loves that darn thing. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get this cake put together. You're going to add in your eggs, and then add in your melted butter. And that thing was hot, and she wouldn't let go, and I was burning my fingertips off, y'all. But anyway, then you're going to go ahead and add your cup of pineapple juice. And if you use like fresh pineapple, if you decide to do that or whatever, just buy your little can of pineapple juice and it'll be fine. So you're just going to go ahead and get this good and whisked up. And honey, she was a whisking. She's working them arm muscles today. Do y'all cook with your babies? I'm curious to know. Like, I know some people kind of like to do their own thing in the kitchen and don't like anybody else in the kitchen. So do y'all cook with your kids or your grandkids? Or what kind of stuff do y'all cook? What do y'all like to do? Because the boys, they'll come in the kitchen and help me cook sometimes, but they kind of want to do their own thing. So, but little miss, she's my shadow, y'all. She wants to be everywhere Mimi's at. So look, y'all, at her little tiny, it's a little springform pan. If that ain't the cutest thing you've ever seen, they were so tiny. So she was going to bake in both of her pans. But anyway, so make sure I greased them up good so the sides would be good and greased because, I wasn't real sure. Well, a little extra won't hurt. Then I took a stick of butter and melted it. And then I just kind of split it up between the 3 pans. Just a little bit in the bottom of hers and then the rest in the bottom of the regular 8x8 pan. Now, if you're making this, just making it, you just need the one, like a pie pan or, cake pan or whatever to make it in. But I was sharing my stuff with her, but you're going to put your butter in there. And then a lot of recipes call for a whole lot of brown sugar, like a whole cup. And I don't know, I felt like that would be just a little too much. So we just sprinkled a little on there. So you'll see our cakes are not as dark as you sometimes see pineapple upside down cake, but that's okay. It was fantastic. It was delicious. So any way you want to do it, if you want more brown sugar, feel free. So then just anywhere you got a hole in your pineapple or maybe on the edge, because, like her little pan's on the edge there, we just kind of drop some cherries in. And you can see in the bigger pan, I tore the pineapples in half and put them on the sides. And that way, when we flip our cake over, when it's done, you'll have the pineapples and cherries on the top and the sides of your cake. But of course, since I shared, I didn't have quite enough pineapple. So I just threw 2 little cherries over in there. And don't worry, y'all, we did a lot of hand washing because she don't like her hands dirty. So don't worry about that. So then you're just going to take your little cake mix, and we just dumped a little layer into each one of her little pans. And then the rest of it I put into the big pan. And just be careful when you're doing this because, you kind of strategically place your pineapples and your cherries. And if you just kind of dump it and then just wiggle it around real hard, some of your pineapples, like especially those ones on the side, they may fall or you might lose a cherry or something like that. So just be a little bit careful with it when you're pouring it into the pans. But other than that, y'all, this is it for this recipe. It is so dang simple. It's simple, simple, simple. You put it in the oven and you're going to bake it. I baked hers for about 25 minutes in those little tiny pans. And then it took the big pan a little bit longer. I think I cooked it closer to 35 minutes. So just kind of watch it. When you stick a toothpick in it and it comes out clean, it's ready. Then you're going to want to let them cool down completely if you can. And then, she was ready to take hers home, so I had to flip hers. But put them in the oven, cook them, let them cool down completely, and then you just flip them onto a plate, y'all. It is so easy. Look at her little tiny cakes, y'all. That's a little bitty paper plate, too. Look at them little tiny cakes. She was so proud, and she took those home. So anyway, and here's our big cake. Like I said, you can see it's a little bit light on top, but that's just because we didn't have a ton of brown sugar down in there, and we had some of that juice from the pineapple. But y'all, this cake is so good. So if you can do it homemade, but a box of cake mix works just fine. So that's it for this video. I'll put y'all another one right over here, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.